Our closing moments here with Bola Bakare. He's of the Truth Be Told Network. Good morning and thanks for joining us. You must have seen the Obasanjo's letter. So what do you think of it?
Thank you, my brother. I'm glad to be here. Honestly, like our name goes, truth be told, we are beginning to see a kind of trend with Nigerians in terms of issues, be it topical, be it current, be it archive. We seldom respond to issues. We always react. And when a reaction occurs, there's a little bit of, the intellect drops a little bit. But let's look at this letter of OBJ holistically. Honestly, we all know that OBJ and GEJ is a pure case of mentor and protege. But the letter in itself, if you read it, it's so subtle, it's so soft, it negates the idea of mentor-protege, it negates the idea of father-son. It's just a pure case of simple truth being laid across. Like I heard the last man who was here who says, you can't write a letter, you can't do this. When it comes to human communications, there are levels of communication. If you're owing me money, the first line of communication is say, hey Bola, I'll pay you. The next line is, Bola, on my word of honor, I'll pay you. The last line is, you'll probably write me a check to prove it. So in this case, like OBJ said, which is true, he has a right to demand 24/7. He said he's talked to him, which is a fact, both in Ota, Abuja, and wherever. He has that kind of access to the man. If he's doing that now, it means simply there has been a communication breakdown. Is it just occurring between OBJ and GEJ? The same thing, Sanusi Lamido is saying the same thing. I sent you a letter September, 3 months back, and there's no response. And because of that, I am doing what I'm doing now. The same thing happened to Obasanjo.
Are you suggesting that the CBN governor leaked his own letter?
For God's sake, correspondences in terms of that level goes through at least 10 people. 10. So you never know. It takes an insider to be a whistleblower. If I am sending you a letter, I need not blow it because I have copies. My secretary has copies. So if anybody is going to blow the whistle, it's going to be from your own house. But be that as it may, that is not the issue here. My own issue, Truth Be Told Network issue, is let us look at this package holistically. Let us negate OBJ, let us leave GEJ aside, and look at the contents of the letter. Honestly, I don't see why we are making an issue of this. The average Nigerian knows 90% of what is in that letter. People like me.
You're aware of sniper squad being trained?
No. He said one thing, that don't let us go into too much of the details, because the president has a prerogative to give anybody a chance to be free or be imprisoned. Obasanjo, don't forget one fact. He is a military man. He is a former head of state. A lot of factors that bother some security that can never be known to people like you and I is known to him. So if he is saying that, let us give him that prerogative that he knows about it. OBJ knows it, GJ knows it, and if he is saying that, let's give them that prerogative of being former CNC and current CNC. Let's give that to him. But what we want to say here, on a truthful avenue, is simple. Leave the man, leave the messenger alone. Let's talk about the message in itself. The message is full. The message is concise. The message is holistic. The message is a help to our nation.
Again, how do you relate that? Sorry, Margaret. How do you relate that with what he's done before? Because, for instance, we're trying to look at his views on Boko Haram, and till this moment, people cannot, for once, forget about Zaki Biam as well as Odi. They say you never actually saw the carrot when you actually leveled those communities. So that is why people are skeptical about this particular letter, because some of the issues raised when he had the opportunity, longer than the present president, he didn't actually do what he has written in that letter.
Okay, let me respond to that issue of Zakim Biam in comparison to Boko Haram as we speak. For everything one is doing in life, you have to attach the person to his profession. Now, in a lighter mood, when it comes to speaking English and getting across to people, I doff my hat for you guys. But when it comes to engineering, you talk to me first. There are ways I will probably tell you. Somebody like you would describe the distance from your headquarters here to the road in 20 letters. Somebody like me can do it in 2 words. I just say, go left, 150 meters, you're where you're going. You will probably describe the houses and these along the line before you do that. I am giving one thing to OBJ. He is a military man. He behaves like a military man. So there are instances that professionalism in him will come to the fore. Fine, Zakim Biam was a military situation with that kind of a sweeping hand. Get them down. Take them away. But basically, he will be regretting some of the actions he has taken. He will be telling God to forgive him for some of the things he has done. And I am sure there are some things he had done that we will say, well, I did this for the unity of Nigeria. But like I am saying, let's look at some bits and pieces of the content of that letter per se. There was a case here, he talked about the one-term thing. Honestly, Nigerians are forgetting. When Jonathan said this some years back, he preferred it to Nigerians that, okay, let's have a single term. Nigerians were saying this and that. Truth be told, came on air and said, perfect. We're trying to make the best of a bad situation.
I don't understand. Gentlemen, in relation to what? To a second term ambition that is constitutionally viable?
Say that again.
Are you talking about, gentlemen, in what respect? Who are you talking about in respect to 2015?
GEJ.
Yes.
Years back, preferred a single-term situation to Nigerians. Nigerians then were saying we have issues like Boko Haram, we have issues, pertinent issues on hand, and all you're talking about is a single term. Truth be told, went on air and said, leave the man alone.
A single term of 6 years or 7 years. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, single term of 6 years. GEJ preferred it some years back.
Well, I do remember that he's clarified and said he was looking for a single term of 7 years. I mean, he preferred that solution just, shortly after his inauguration as president in this current tenure in 2011. And a host of people thought he was looking for an extension of his own term, not as something that he wanted in the Nigerian constitution. Why are you making reference to that in relation with 2015 or in relation to 2015?
I'm making a reference because a little bit of what OBJ said was that he made him a promise that he has used a few years of the Yaradua Republic, and then with this republic he is on, that 6 years will have been complete. The element of 6 years or 7 years is not what we're dwelling on as we speak. We just signed a single term.
We're not privy to that discussion he had with the former president.
But he said he preferred earlier the single term factor. Which is what we're saying, okay, we're holding him onto it. But truth be told, we are not holding him onto it. He has a right to change his mind. He has a right to contest in 2015. Let's leave that to him.
Okay.
Let's leave that to him. The man went on and on. He talked about national dialogue, which we spent the whole of October debating about. But truth be told, our bottom line is, whatever comes out of that national dialogue, we should be scared of the aftermath of non-implementation. Because the moment you make touchy issues common knowledge, the moment you tell a man you're supposed to have 10 naira and you're having 1 kobo, for God's sake, there's going to be high level disunity in Nigeria. So in terms of that national dialogue, we are for it, but our word is implementation. The aftermath of non-implementation is going to be bad for our country. Let's move ahead from that. He talked in terms of the Niger Delta situation, and then our own angle says one thing. In truth be told, we don't call anybody militant. We don't call anybody insurgents. We don't call anybody miscreants. I'll tell you one thing. The Niger Deltans, from our own angle, made a statement. Nigeria as a whole, we robbed them. And the only way they could make a statement with what they did. They've talked. God bless Kenule. He died in the process. And at the end of the day, the statement became a national issue, and now they are being satisfied. I'll move that to the north. In the north now, there is a northern statement. It started off as a good statement before terrorism took over. In the north, Nigeria as a whole, we abandoned them. They are part of us. We are members of the same family. Nigeria abandoned them. They started out with, we want what the Niger Delta is getting on our own level. When this thing started, I said it on air 2 years ago, the people you call miscreants were used by politicians. They were giving guns just to enhance their political ambitions. At the end of the day, the politicians get their offices, the miscreants get to keep their guns. And for God's sake, if you have a gun on hand, the only thing you can do with it is to rob people or intimidate people. Little wonder, those days, the same people, these miscreants, they've become high profile. They were found in government houses, they were found in government lodges, the liaison officers. We made a lot of noise and nothing happened afterwards. So what I'm saying now is the Northern statement went out of hand and became a terrorist case that we are now handling. And these are issues this man is trying to raise. Truth be told, we'll go one step further. Eventually, we're going to have an Eastern statement and we're going to have a Western statement. Because some of these groups have been politically marginalized. These are factors we need to look into. These are factors that borders on the unity of Nigeria.
So how will all of that now taper into this letter?
You said the letter in itself, the average person must be able to read it and read between the lines. There is nothing new in that letter. Maybe if we talk about the hit list, I would call it hit list or wish list of OBJ. As CNC 1, CNC 2, they have access to information you and I are not privy to. So let's leave that to them. But the thing is, let's look at the nitty-gritty of the contents of the letter. How does it help us? Is the letter setting us off course? Or it's putting us on course?
What do you think?
It's getting us on course. Because there is a word for it. If you and I are saying whatever we are saying, our cloud does not make it big enough. Obasanjo's cloud makes it big. Of 160 million Nigerians, for anybody that is not deaf, even those that are deaf mute, I can tell you, 150 Nigerians know about what is happening. And most of them are saying one thing. Thank God, this kind of a man is saying it. I am not looking at the messenger. I'm looking at the message.